Hello and welcome to Call to Arms, and thank you for answering the call. Welcome to another episode of Battlecry, our place where we get to chat about all things Warhammer. I'm joined tonight again by Mr. Master himself, Mr. John Bayliss. Hello, John. How are we?
Hi there, how you doing? Good to be back.
Good. Glad to have you back, mate. Save some for the rest of us.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Well, you've been in an absolute tear. So that was Broken Realms in Glasgow. That was a couple of weeks ago now. Took the top spot there. And then yet again last weekend, that weekend right there, Northern Invasion hosted in Stirling by a good friend Stu West, and took the top spot there again. So you must be doing something right, mate.
Just lucky, just lucky.
Just lucky. Fantastic. Well, I think it's maybe a bit more than luck. So hopefully we're going to be able to delve a bit more into how you got on, how you managed to secure yet another top spot. We're going to look at your list, very similar to our first episode, or our last episode rather, of the tournament recap. We'll have a look at your list, we'll have a look at your opponents' lists, and then, yeah, we'll kind of talk about your road to victory. We're also going to talk a wee bit about the tournament itself. We're going to talk about how it's maybe a wee bit different from some of the other tournaments that are running up here in Scotland as well, and highlight some of the really good aspects as well, because I know Stu's been doing this for a very long time. He's really good at it, and all of his events are always amazing. So be really a good opportunity
Yeah.
to talk about them tonight. Yeah. So before we crack on, anything we'd like to say to the folks at home about um, your kind of how you got on at the weekend and how you found the tournament.
Well, as always, Northern Invasion's a fantastic tournament. You said yourself there that Stu's a great host. He
Mm-hmm.
puts on a great show. He usually does quite a lot of lead up to it as well, and the trophies are amazing. He really goes to
Yeah.
town on the trophies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the trophy I took home, I was astounded by. It's made by a blacksmith in Ukraine and shipped across,
It's
and
really cool.
yeah, so it's always fantastic. It's approached in a great nature. You get some people who just come to that one tournament. That's the one they will go to each year, that sort of thing, because it's just so good.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Great. And yeah, I saw your trophy. It has looked amazing. That big blacksmithing hammer that you had. I don't know if you got it on you just now, John.
No, but I can nip and grab it if you want.
Oh, well, you could do that if you want just now. I could vamp, and then you could come back and you could show it off to the folks. That'd be kind of cool.
Okay, I'll go grab it.
Perfect, thank you very much. Well, this is exciting. So while John is away getting that, guys, this is a perfect opportunity for me to ask you to like and subscribe. Please, it lets other people find the channel and the content, and also lets me know that hopefully you're enjoying it as well. Big thanks to our sponsors, as always, tabletopminis.co.uk. So our friend of the channel, Riath, up there in Aberdeen, thank you very much, offering the patrons some good discounts up there on his stuff. And yeah, if you do want to become a patron and support the channel, there's a link in the description below, and it will tell you all about if you click on that and you go to the Patreon website, it'll tell you all about the different tiers that we offer, that I offer here on the channel. Right, John, is that giving you enough time to grab the trophy? Let's have a look at this bad boy. Whoa! Oh wow, that looks amazing.
And you could probably hear it's
Solid.
pretty solid.
Solid
Yeah,
as well. Love it. I love his logo. That logo just looks
yeah.
so nice on it. Very nice. Cool. Right. Well, let's without further ado, let's crack on, shall we? So, Northern Invasion. So, gosh, now I don't have the exact details of how many years Stu's been running this, but it seems like it's been pretty regular for a good number of years.
It's been as long as I've been competitive gaming, anyways.
Yeah. And
I
did
think
it? I was going
2019 I started.
2019. Okay, perfect. So yeah, that's fantastic. And in terms of, and I think even before that as well, it would have been.
Oh, yeah.
And in terms of what Stu kind of brings to offer, as you said, the prizes that are on offer, the swag, if you will, awesome, really really good. And also in terms of the tournaments as well. wee bit of extra flavour with regards to some of the mission choices and things like that as well. So we'll just crack right on. We'll just go in for it. So if I go to the how to win page. So as it says there, we've got the kind of the scoring tournament points. You've got your major win, your minor win, your draw, your minor loss, major loss, all that kind of stuff. And then we've also got the first tiebreaker is victory points, total victory points, which gets capped at 25. I found that to be quite a good way to score it. I think in terms of that being the first tiebreaker, obviously points make prizes. You want to score as many points as possible, even in a game where you might know that I'm not going to win this. You still want to play for as many points as possible because that's your first tiebreaker.
Very much so.
After your records, yeah.
But also, having it capped is quite important when it comes to probably the next bit you're about to mention in the way the missions were organised.
Yes, so exactly.
You had to have a cap.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think because there's a few missions here, and there's certain lists that where it be uncapped, you could get some really daft scores happening. So that's their kind of how we're going to be getting their tournament points, and then with the actual mission choice as well. If I scroll down, it was really cool the way he was doing it. So it wasn't just like a normal tournament where the missions are all set. You've got game 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you know exactly what they are before the tournament. We've got an option of 3 missions per round, and you get to have like a kind of a fun mini game with your opponent where you both will roll off, and then the winner of that gets to veto, one of the missions, so gets to basically discard it and bin it, and then the person who didn't win that roll off then has to veto another one, and then you kind of limit down your options until there's only one mission left. So how did you find that in terms of what impact did you think that had on your gameplay throughout the tournament and maybe other people's as well?
I think it's a fantastic idea because there's certain missions that just rule out armies. Like there's one with no teleport, so then that's the Sylvaneth game plan gone, or the Stormcast ones that drop down from the sky ruled out as well. You could get away from things like the Mighty and the Cunning. If you've got loads of Galician veterans, you could just veto that one, because otherwise you'd give away 10 points, 12 points in a game and lose.
Of course, yeah.
So you could, to a degree, tailor the mission you were playing against the opponent's army. And it's more really about getting rid of the one that is bad for your army than trying to find the one that's good against them. At least that's how I played it. In most of the selections, there was one I didn't want. So it was about getting rid of that and then playing one of the other two.
Got you. So you found that you're basically just trying to minimise the bad matchup for you. So that's probably the first one you want to get rid of, bin that. Okay. Do you think maybe there was some play that just certainly what I'm thinking about is if I know there's maybe one or two that my opponent definitely doesn't want, I maybe just get rid of whatever the third one is and keep those two, and then my opponent has then got a really tough decision to make on what mission they actually want to play me on then.
Yeah, if there's one that you know that they're not going to want, then you know you're effectively picking yourself from the other two, so you kind of have the choice.
Yeah.
So you'll never get rid of the one you know they're going to get rid of, and then you'll see what you prefer out the others.
Yeah.
Because that will be the game.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. I think it just adds another layer to the kind of tournament as well, which is nice. And just gives a bit more maybe variance within there. A lot of the time, you think Tilos might pick. I just kind of for myself when I ran a tournament earlier on in the year, I was just kind of looking at what do I think are maybe the 5 overall kind of best for everyone missions. Maybe the kind of the good all-comers missions that have just got quite a nice balanced scoring kind of system within it, and it's not going to upset certain people. It's not going to upset the people that have their army depends on teleports and they've got the no teleports or the no reserves or whatever. Whereas this does open it up to things where you could maybe have some skew and there could be a lot of kind of spicy games because of whatever got kind of picked.
Well, it also means that games where neither army uses teleports, they might actually play it. And that would be such a rarity for a tournament to actually get to play that mission. Because, as you say, if you're just putting the mission in the pack, nobody picks that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So it's never in a pack.
Yeah, never in a pack, yeah. Perfect, right. So overall, it looked like an awesome tournament. I unfortunately wasn't able to go, but I managed to pop in the Sunday morning. I got to chat to a few people, and there was a great buzz about. There seemed to be everyone was really enjoying it, and I saw a few familiar faces from the Broken Realms tournament as well. That had managed to make it along to Stirling. So that's Common Grounds in Stirling, ran by Steve again, kind of a stalwart of the community. He's got a great shop up there in Stirling, which we all like to frequent quite regularly for gaming and tournaments. And yeah, so it was really good. And I believe 46 overall
Not sure what it
players.
settled at. It was 48 at one point, but I think he did have a couple dropouts,
Maybe
so
a couple of
probably
drops there.
the 46 mark.
No worries. So still a really good sized tournament as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So well done, Stu. So we're going to crack right on. We're going to go into and discuss your list for the tournament, John. So you can kind of talk me through it. And interested, not taking beasts again this time. Why the change? Why the segue into the
I,
lizards?
I try not to play the same faction 2 tournaments in a row. I've got so many armies that I like them all that I try to chop and change. The 3 armies that I'm really enjoying at the moment are Skaven, Beasts of Chaos, and Seraphon. And I'd already won tournaments with Beasts of Chaos and Skaven this year, so
Yeah.
it was Seraphon's time for a run out.
There you go. Perfect.
It's about mixing it up, just making it fun. I like
Exactly.
the armies, so I get to play them all this way.
Perfect, very good. So we're on to Seraphon now. So it was quite good. It was good to have you on our last chat because there was a Seraphon list there. You were able to really kind of take it apart and show me how it works, what the cogs are. So I think I'll just kind of run through your list. I'll try and be as brief as I can, and then I think if you just give me a kind of an overview of what does it do, what are the main threats, what are the main shenanigans, and then yeah, we'll start kind of talking about your opponents. So we went for Fangs of Sotek. It seems to be quite a popular one now. I think it feels like a lot of the lists that you maybe be seeing in the older seasons were the old Thunder Lizards, and now we're starting to see the Fangs of Sotek really kind of ramp up and take over now. So it'd be good to get your thoughts on why you think that is, John.
It's mission gameplay. It's
Okay.
the teleports. Yeah, it just plays the mission so well. The Thunder Lizards is quite static. It's survivable, but it doesn't have any teleports or any method of getting behind your opponent and over the other side. Whereas Fangs of Sotek, you're just teleporting units of skinks around to capture objectives. Your opponent has to defend behind them. It's just a totally different style of play. It doesn't
Yep.
survive as well, but it does have summoning that the Thunder Lizards doesn't have. The key is the teleport.
Interesting. Okay, so we're talking a bit more board control than your Thunder Lizards. Not as survivable, but you've got the movement with the teleports. You've got the board control with the summoning as well, and yeah, just a bit more kind of maneuverability that
Yeah.
maybe the other kind of lists don't have. Okay, great. We went for Show of Dominance as the grand strat, and we've got Inspired for the triumph. So we're getting +1 to wound on something if we're able to get that. So for our leaders, we've got Lord Croak. Oh, it's great to see him. Okay, we don't. I feel like we tend to don't see him as much. I know that he was in a list at Broken Realms a couple of weeks ago, and honestly, that's the first time I've seen him in a while. It's usually always just the standard slan. So why did you decide to take the old lizard himself?
Well, it was largely just because I wanted to play him. It's a fantastic model. It's an interesting rule set. He's a great caster. I mean, his rules are good, but I never really saw him much before.
Yeah.
Played him a bit last year just for some fun on friendly games, so to speak. This was my first time taking him to a tournament. I was painting him while I was at Broken Realms a couple of weeks ago. So when I came up against Croak at Broken Realms and he was beautifully painted, I was at the point where I just thought, well, I'll just stop painting mine because he's going to look rubbish compared to that one. So shout out to Andy Pennington's Croak, who was, I think he was up for one of the best painted army awards
It
there.
was indeed, yeah, and it was gorgeous, yeah.
So I kind of almost stopped painting mine, but I kept going. So I'm quite pleased with him at the end. He's okay on the table. But it was just to bring some interesting rules in, and I was going for a magic dominance army, so as many powerful casters on the board as the same time.
Yeah, and you can see that quite evidently because not only have you got Lord Croak, who's the kind of OG Slan, you've got another Slan as
Yep.
well in there. So, yeah, okay, magic dominance, check. We've then got our Saurus Astrolith Bearer to give the +1s to cast, and then he's also got dishing out his 6-up ward save as well. And we've
But
got
he also
oh,
he
okay.
also gives +6-inch range to spells,
Oh, fantastic. So
and that's the most important bit.
he's just such a good model for 140 points, and he's given out
Yep.
that many buffs. That's really good. And then we've got a wee skink star piece in there. Nice wee buff piece for your skinks.
Yeah, he buffs the skinks. He's also both Croak and Slan have a rule where they can pick a skink wizard within 12 inches and cast through them.
Oh
So
yeah,
they sort of channel their spells through the skink star priest.
yeah.
So you can put him at risk, and rather than putting your Slan at risk, and then cast through the wizard.
Ah, got you, got you. No, fantastic. Okay, so that's our leaders. On to battle line. We are looking at 30 skinks. Whew, so quite a good number of skinks there. We're all got the javelins, the daggers, and the bucklers on there. So kind of nice wee ranged unit. We've then got 10 skinks, exact same javelins, and 5 Saurus Guard. So 5 Saurus Guard, I'm assuming to be the ablative wounds for your heroes. Skinks are teleporting and shooting, putting out a lot of shots.
They are. It was actually blowpipes, not javelins.
Oh, my apologies. So just slight amendment to the list. That's fine. So blowpipes.
It's 16-inch range.
Right. So just a bit of range on that. Okay, perfect. Great. And then on to the behemoths. We've got what else would you take? Cronspine.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the very kind of hot pick of the moment just now. And then for endless spells and invocations, we've got Horrorghast, Ravanax Gnashing Jaws, and the Burning Head. And we've wrapped that all up in a Warlord Battalion. We've got Expert Conquerors as well, which we've got the 3 units of Skinks in. And for the additional enhancement for the Warlord Battalion, we've got an extra artifact that comes in at 1975 points. So a nice wee kind of cushion to try and get you the triumph there. Yeah, it comes in as quite a low, I would say, probably 96 wounds and very high drops. We've got 9 drops here. So let's talk about the endless spells first before we kind of talk about anything else. So Horrorghast, I've seen that in a few lists now. Seems to be quite and just has quite a big impact as an endless spell. Stops you from being able to use Inspiring Presence.
Yep.
So would be great if you are rattling off mortal wounds with your magic dominance, or if you're rattling off lots of shots from your skinks, and then that unit that you've managed to kill quite a few things from then can't use Inspiring Presence. So might
It's also wonderful if you're doing chip damage to several units.
Yeah.
So you could chuck Horrorghast into the middle and you can hit a few off different things, and then particularly if they've got low bravery, they're all going to roll to lose a couple. And a D3 extra run from each unit that fails a battle shock from the Horrorghast.
Oofed.
So you might be getting 5 or 6 running from this unit and that unit and that unit.
Yeah.
And that can be a big deal.
No, absolutely. Yeah. As a Night Hunt player, I know just how powerful not being able to use Inspiring Presence is, and it's
because you're a nasty man.
It's a big deal being able to say whoa, no, you have battle shock, everything just leaves now. So yeah, no, that's great. We've got Ravanax Gnashing Jaws, maybe one that I've not seen as much, but I think I know what it does. So is that the one where you roll dice and how many whatever number you roll above the enemy unit's movement characteristic, that's how many mortal wounds you do to that unit.
Yeah, so excuse me, when you cast it, it then gets deployed, but it then moves 3d6 inches, and on the turn it's cast, you can re-roll the 3d6. So you've got a reliable one on the turn you cast it. Once it's moved, you pick a unit that it has moved over, or a unit within 1 inch at the end, and roll the dice, and on a 2-up, it hurts them. And as you say, it's the movement that you rolled minus their movement characteristic. So you already know how fast it's moving when you pick the target unit.
Yeah.
So that's quite useful. So if you roll low, you might want to use it as a blocker rather than an attack, trying to do damage. And if you roll really high, then you're going to go and pick something and try and on the 2+ do a lot of damage to it. But
Yeah.
also, even if you roll a sort of a mid-range number, you might know that it would kill a small hero,
Hmm.
and therefore you go and pick him and try and remove him from the board. Whereas if you have rolled just not quite enough to kill him, it might not be worth it. You might be better picking a unit where you can take some models off.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's
You
interesting.
can tailor where it goes depending on what you rolled
Yeah, so that's a really good distinction there. So you know exactly what it's going to do
on
before
a
you then
two-up.
put it out. Yeah, exactly. So that's good because I suppose it would be. I suppose it kind of disappointing if you like I'm going to target this unit who are kind of either maybe quite mid range, mid fast, mid speed to quite fast, and you roll rubbish dice and nothing happens. But now you know exactly what it's going to do, so you can kind of pick your poison. That's good. I like that. And then Burning Head. So is that the one that's just D3 mortal wounds?
Yeah, any units within 3 inches, including your own, on a two-up take D3 mortal wounds.
Okay,
So
and
it's kind of like the Celestant Prime for 20 points.
yeah, yeah, and it doesn't disappear anymore. Is that correct?
It does only
Oh, it does.
if it inflicts any mortal wounds, it's removed from the table.
Got you, got you.
So
Okay,
if it doesn't hurt anyone, it stays.
it stays, but if it does, then
You,
off it goes.
you have to be a little bit careful with that if there's an enemy cron spine going around.
Ah,
If you fail to hurt anything, then it's sitting there waiting to be eaten. And it was cast on like a 5 or something
yeah,
silly, maybe a 6. So it's a little bit of a risk. So you
yeah,
want it
yeah.
to hit several units to make sure it's leaving the board.
Of course, yeah. Okay, and that's good. And that's the nice bit of splash D3 mortal wounds along with
For
the
20 points.
spells. Yeah, for 20 points, as you say, and along with the spells that you're going to be being able to put out with your Slan and Croak as well. So no, that's really good. Okay, so yeah, so let's talk about the drops. So 9 drops. Why so high? Why didn't you want to maybe try and go for a 1 drop or a 2 or a 3? What was
Well, I
the main thoughts
wanted,
behind that?
above all, it was to get the expert conquerors on the skinks.
Hmm.
Because then if you're teleporting 10 skinks across, you can plonk them onto an objective and it's 30 models.
Yeah.
When you're teleporting 30 skinks, you can steal an objective from a Gargant. If you get them all on the objective, it'd be 90 models. It'd be ridiculous.
Well, that's nice. Yeah.
And in Fangs of Sotek, you get +3 move in turn 1 for skinks. So it takes them up to a move of 11, never mind with a run. So you can get them where you want. You can steal any objective you want and that sort of thing. So the
Nice.
Expert Conquerors was the real key, I felt. I also wanted the extra artifact just because.
Yep.
I wanted to take a second reroll on the Slan. So the Slan's got two rerolls for his casting, unbinding, and dispelling, which is kind of ridiculous.
That is really nice. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Wow. Right. So, okay. So that's just a nice kind of overlook at the list. Anything we missed, John, or anything else you'd like to kind of say about how you played the list? I know you said it was magic dominance. You've got some good teleports there. Anything else that you'd want to kind of say about
The
the
other
list?
aspect of the magical dominance in it is that you can give up the spells in a Starborn Seraphon army. So any Slan can give up their first spell to get an additional D3 summoning points.
Ah, okay.
So with Croak and a Slan there, you can effectively get 4 D3 summoning points a turn if you don't want to cast as many spells that turn.
Ooh.
Since you've got so many spells, giving up 1 or 2 isn't a disaster.
Yeah, isn't that big a
So
deal?
it's quite a powerful summoning army as well. Now, I
Oh, that's
didn't do
nice.
huge amounts of summoning because I found I didn't actually need it, but I had the possibility there to do it.
Yeah, and it's always nice to have that wee trick up your sleeve if you ever do need it.
Yeah.
It could be game winning in some situations. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Right, great. Thanks for that. So, we'll just kind of get right into it. So, game one, we were up against my friend and teammate for the upcoming Six Nations. We've got Reese Fraser. He's been rocking about his Sylvaneth for a wee bit now. So yeah, we'll kind of just talk through his list, nice and brief, and then you can tell me how your game went. So he is taking Heartwood, which is the one where you get to nominate 3 units, and you get your entire army gets +1 to hit against it. So that's the one that's kind of normally taken. It's quite big. We've got love it, Alariel. Very nice piece. I can also just say, whoever decides to upload their list in this format here is an absolute psychopath. So, Reese, come on now, pull the finger out, get onto War Scroll Builder, and get that properly laid out. This is a nightmare to try and read, mate. But anyway, so we've then got Arch Revenant, who is really good at making Kurnoths better. And good thing, because we've got quite a lot of Kurnoths. We've got quite a few Kurnoths here. We've got 6 Kurnoths with scythes, and then we have, what's that? 15 Tree Revenants.
I think it was just 10.
Okay. Just when I saw that reinforced 15 times Tree Revenants. No, that can't be right. Oh no, sorry. It's reinforced. Sorry, reinforced 1. So he's reinforced the Kurnoth by 1. That's why he's got 6. That's right. Whew. I was like, what the hell?
There's the whole list squashed into one sentence.
And then we've got 2 units of 5 Tree Revs, which are just all stars in Sylvaneth, getting you battle tactics aplenty. And then we've got 1 unit of 3 Revenant Seekers, really nice, just little bug riders. They can do a bit of damage, but they also bring back the Kurnoths really well. You can get the resin game going for them. He's went for Cogs, to potentially, I'm guessing, to get the rerolls for these casts, or potentially rerolls to charge, maybe. And then we've got Spitesworm Hive, which can either give you +3 to charge, or you can give you +1 to your save as well, depending on how you want to kind of use that. We've got Bounty Hunters, which we've got the Scythes in, and the Revenant Seekers as well. And then we've also got a Battle Reg to tie everything else in as well. 1995, 87 wounds. So again, quite low on wins. I think it just, most Sylvaneth lists that I look to be quite light on wins, because they really just want to do their thing and then kind of run away. They don't want to interact that much, so they don't lose as much, hopefully. And he's a 3-drop as well. So yeah, tell me about your game 1.
So we ended up with Nidus Paths. I can't remember what the choices were.
Well, I can tell you. Hold on here. It was Nidus Paths, Battle Lines Drawn, and the Prize of Galay were your choices.
So I think Reese was the attacker, so he vetoed one, and then I chose from the other 2. I think was how it went.
Yep.
And I picked the Nidus Paths because it's 4 table corners, which means that it spreads out his power a little bit, and means the teleporting skinks around can be quite useful. And if I got rid of his revenants, then he kind of can't afford to put anything bigger out in a corner, so that would give me a bit of advantage in the later game, was my thoughts on that one.
Okay, cool.
So it was Nidus Paths.
Paths.
He had the choice and took first turn, so it's corridor deployment, and he kind of went for it in turn 1. So he did the usual thing of trying to get his spells up, but I shut them all down. So he had no Spitesworm Hive or Cogs or anything like that running.
Yeah, just getting spells off against you is going to be a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So he chucked his Kurnoth Hunter with Scythes forwards and Alariel. Other people went out to take objectives and that sort of thing to get his hold 1, hold 2. He went for the charges, didn't make it. So his Kurnoths and Alariel were sort of standing there in front of me, and that was his turn. So I did as much damage as I could into the Kurnoths with the Scythes. I thought, I'll just leave Alariel alone. She'd summoned 3 bow Kurnoths in front of her, and I thought, well, I'll keep them for later, and I'll just try and get rid of these Scythe Hunters. So I chucked all my spells in that I could, summoned all my endless spells, did everything, and got my skinks, my 30 blob buffed up with the wound mortals from the Skink Star Priest, that sort of stuff. Just got everything ready and did as much damage. I think I got them down to 2 in the first turn, so I think I killed 4 of them. The Kronspine went in as well. So that was pretty good. And then I won priority and finished off the last 2. So after that, it was really just trying to go for objectives. I did a bit of damage to Alariel throughout the game, but she kept healing up. I think I got her down to like 3 or 4 wounds at one point, and then the next turn she was back to full.
Yeah.
So I never managed to kill her.
The 2d6 heal on Alariel is really good, yeah.
Well, the time I got her really hurt, she also managed to get off the heal d6 wounds spell as well. I think it was like one of the only spells that Reese managed to cast the entire game, but it was quite an important one at the time.
Yeah.
So she healed 3d6 that turn, and she was back to full. And I was like, oh, great, here we go. So he did really well at moving stuff around, and he kept the score really close. So it was never a done deal, but I was summoning skinks in to screen off things like that, and teleporting around. And the seeker bugs, I can't remember what they're called, the
Yeah, the Revenant
flying
Seekers.
bugs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're so hard to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they kill a model, which is not hard against skinks, they heal up to full again, and then they return a model back. So I got them down to one model on one wound, and the very next turn, they're back up to two
They're
Revenant
back.
Seekers on full wounds again. It's like,
Yeah,
here we go.
yeah.
This Alariel and healing Seeker bugs is actually quite hard to play against.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kept scoring and summoning stuff and
Yeah,
so on. So I got the win, I got the max points, but it was by no means one-sided,
yeah,
despite him losing his hunters in
yeah,
turn
yeah.
one and two.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay.
So he
So,
played a good game, and I really enjoyed it.
good, good. Yeah, yeah. As I say, he's been running the Sylvaneth for a good few tournaments, getting lots of reps in with them, and he's really competent with them. He takes games really seriously, and he knows what he's doing with the tree people, definitely. So good game one. Managed to test your lizards out, and then that takes us nicely into game two, and we are matched up versus Mr. Thomas Stott. Now, there's a good bit of kind of backstory here because it's quite good. I quite liked looking at this WhatsApp message on the chat. So you were picked as basically the filthiest list overall. Is that right?
Apparently so. I thought it was narrative fluff, but you know what Nathan's like.
Okay. All right. So it was Nathan's choice.
Nathan Watson
Yes.
he was asked to review all the lists because he couldn't make it to the tournament, and
Yeah.
he's very good at reading lists,
Hmm.
assessing power, looking for little tricks and so on. So he knows what he's talking about,
Hmm.
apart from when he reads Seraphon, he doesn't know anything about them. So he was asked to review them all and to pick the filthiest list
Yeah.
at the
Yeah. Yeah.
tournament.
Which
Um,
was
and
which was your
and he even
list?
turned up on the morning. He turned up on Saturday morning to make the presentation.
Oh wow! You must have been honoured. That's
I
that's
was. I was delighted to see him
fantastic. Okay, so filthiest list overall. Which, to be fair, Nathan was bang on the money because you took out the tournament,
Turns
right?
out,
So
actually, no, I don't think he was bang on the money. I
wasn't
think there
bang
was
on the money.
one filthier list there. I just didn't play it.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe we need to get your thoughts on that at the end then,
Yep, no
on,
problem.
on what we think the list that you managed to dodge was. So filthiest list overall, and then I believe so matched up against Thomas Stott, who was nominated as
The best man.
best man. Okay, and I know that
Yeah.
Stu does this. He does this at all of his Northern Invasions. So is the best man the best list or the
It's
fluffiest list
the
or what we're looking at?
kind of most narrative, I guess. So it's not
Okay.
necessarily the fluffiest, but it's the one that has gone for a theme at the expense of power. It's that kind of thing. So
Okay.
narrative would be the best word.
Narrative. Yeah.
Um, and I think Thomas's list, he certainly hadn't gone for the most powerful option he could have.
Hmm.
It was themed,
Yeah.
and he's a really good guy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And well, I mean, the list must have had some teeth because it won game one. He won his game one. You won your game one,
I think
and
he
you got
went
to
three
face off.
two.
Well, fantastic, very good. I mean, I think to get the best man, which is as you say, it's you are giving up on power really to go with a theme or a narrative,
Yeah.
and that list is maybe not as expected to do as well as some of the lists that are just raw power, raw filth, like your list, John. Um, so for him to go 3-2, that's brilliant. That's really good.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's go into his list then. So he's went Slaves to Darkness, which I'm enjoying seeing on the tables. He's went for his Host of the Everchosen, and he's got No Place for the Weak as his grand strat, so he's wanting to kill all your battle line, and then he's gone for the big boy. He's gone for Archeon, OG, just such a great piece, such a great model, and really nice in the Slaves book as well. He's went for a corn flavour of Archeon.
Yeah.
So he's extra angry, and he wants to just let the blood flow. He's then went for his battle line. We've got 3 units of 3 Varanguards. Now I'm really liking these Varangard lists that are coming up more and more often now. So for them, he's also made them Corn, which obviously fits the theme. He's then went for some Ungor Raiders, so 2 tens of Ungor Raiders, and we went for 9 Untamed Beasts. They're also Mark of Corn, and he's went for the Umbral Spell Portal as his endless spell. And we've got a Battle Reg, and we've got Bounty Hunters, which all but one of the Vanguard are in actually. So 2 of the Vanguard are in. Bounty Hunters, one of them's in the Battle Reg, and it's exactly 2k in the nose, so no Triumph, which is fine because you never put one in anyway. And then that
There's a
is
couple little things with the list there that
okay. Yeah.
the Ungors were combined into one unit to meet
Okay.
the coalition requirements.
I see. Yeah, because it's one in 4 units, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Umbral Spell Portal, he wanted to take the Purple Sun, but then he saw that the points had gone up and didn't notice that Stu was running with the old rules still for this one weekend.
I see.
So he changed to the Umbral Spell Portal unnecessarily.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. So
So
he took the Spare Portal, even though he could have still taken the Sun.
could have still taken the Purple Sun because we played
Right.
with the old rules and the 70 points.
Oofed. Right. Okay. The OG Purple Sun. Okay. Fair enough. And that's a 3-dropper. So what I'm looking at really is it looks like it's just Archeon and the Vanguard are going to kill stuff.
Pretty much
And
the theme.
he's got his Ungor Raiders and Untamed Beasts as screens, chaff, things to grab objectives with.
Effectively, yeah.
Yep.
That was the theme of it. You just
Perfect.
wanted to run Archeon and the Vanguard.
I mean, who doesn't? Who wouldn't want to run
Yeah.
that? Yeah, lovely. So, tell me about the game. How did the game go?
So we ended up playing head-on collision,
Oh,
which
okay.
was, again, it was my choice from 2 at the end, I think. So I just wanted one where the home objective of your opponent is worth a lot of points.
Yes.
Again, for the teleport, because if he chucks Archeon and the Vanguard at me, then I can try and swap to his side and score points. He gave me the turn, so it was one of those ones where you can't score in turn 1. I remember correctly. You can't score the objectives in turn 1.
Yes, so I believe Head-on Collision, this is the one that, again, we don't really see much play because it's quite a polarising kind of mission overview, where I believe is that you cannot hold, am I right in saying you can't hold the middle objective?
I think you can't hold any of them in turn 1.
So you can't hold any in turn 1 at all, okay. So I've got it here, score 1 victory point if you control the objective wholly within your territory. Score 2 victory points if you control the objective at the centre of the battlefield. 4 if you control the opponents as well. And then you score 1 victory point if you gain control of an objective this turn and there are any friendly Galley Vets units within 6 inches of that objective, and score 2 victory points if you completed your Grand Strat as well. And then, yes, Deadly Denizens, that's the rule that we were talking about. So in this battle, objectives cannot be controlled in the first battle round, and players do not gain control of objectives after setup is complete. Ooh, okay, interesting.
So it also limits the battle tactics you can do in turn 1 because you can't take an objective, so that's against the odds gone as your opening salvo that most people would use.
Yep.
So I went for the Desecrate Their Lands, this enemy scenery piece. So I just teleported some skinks across, I cast out some spells, I basically killed all his Ungor Raiders in turn 1 because I got the Horrorghast and a lot of other spells out, so they all either died or ran off the board.
Yep.
Killed a few of the Untamed Beasts and probably 1 Varangard.
Okay.
But then I put some skinks behind him on a scenery piece to threaten his home objective the following turn, so I knew he would have to get rid of them. And that was my turn finished. He then, in his turn, sent 1 unit of Varangard back to head for the skinks, and I did a little sneaky redeploy, which would take it to I think it was a 3-inch redeploy, so it would have been a 6-inch charge, and he just didn't trust killing them. So he sent Archeon as well back. So for his turn 1, he'd have basically sent 1,200 points of his army backwards.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the losing move, really. Because it meant that I had 2 units of Arangard sitting out front that I could deal with all my spells and shooting and everything. And then I
Yeah,
could deal with Archaon later.
yeah, yeah. Because it kind of strikes me. So your list is quite good at kind of scalpeling things off. So maybe
Yeah.
so you would pick one of those units and just fire all your spells into all the skinks, remove, okay, and then just rinse repeat for the next turns. And so
You
as
can play it. You can play it two ways. You could either pick a target and chuck everything at it. So,
yeah,
you've got all these offensive spells and the Gnashing Jaws and the Burning Head and so on. Or you can do hurt everybody a little bit and utilize the Horror Gas to try
yeah,
and get a few more to run. So
yeah,
you can do the spread damage, or you can target down one unit.
yeah.
You won't target down a Gargant or anything like that.
Hmm.
But you could get rid of a unit of Vanguard for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so as you say, by him, sending Archeon back and the unit of Varangard, that unit of Skinks has, yeah, it's just taken over half enemy army away. You don't have to worry about that for maybe a turn or two. So
For a
you're,
75-point skink unit,
yeah, so you're kind of quids in, and
which I could summon more of.
yeah, exactly, and it's those little kind of outflanking units that for some armies that are they're either just they're designed to be in one big brick, or you've got a lot of points invested into this one big piece, to have to send that off to deal with a 75-point unit because you know it's going to get points or battle tactics in the next turns. It's so soul destroying to have to do that. So
Well, once I'd killed the Ungor Raiders and effectively killed the Untamed Beasts, his whole objective was, empty almost. So
mhm.
if he didn't kill them, they were just going to walk onto his home objective and score me 4 points.
Oofed. Yeah, that's massive. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Okay. So yep, on you go. Continue. How did the rest of the turns
Well,
go?
effectively, that was kind of the game in that move. I think I won the priority in the next turn. Into turn two, I
Yeah.
chucked my Conspine in at that point and a bunch more spells, and I killed off the 2 units of Iron Guard that were still there
Yeah.
and took the middle objective and so on. So then I was scoring more points, and now Archaon was going to come back across, but he was a good distance away,
Mhm.
so they didn't even reach me in turn two. So it was turn three before Archaon got to me,
Mhm.
and I think in my turn three I killed the other Iron Guard, then turn four killed Archaon.
Oofed.
So that was it.
And that's all she wrote. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. Very good. Okay. So yeah, quite a decisive win for yourself then. Cool. And then we unfortunately we had our best man lose and our filthiest man carry on, keep going up that ladder. Okay, perfect. So great. Let's go on to game three now. So we were then matched up against uh, a very good friend of the channel because he actually sponsors the channel. So this is Riath. He is the owner of Tabletop Minis up in Aberdeen, and it was great to see him at a tour. I've not seen him in a wee while actually, so it was good to see him back on it with these Lumineth. And he had taken quite a polarizing list, shall we say. He leaned in, right into the Sentinels. We've got Sentinel spam.
It was competing for the badge, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So this wasn't the list that you thought was filthier than yours, and that you managed to dodge because you didn't dodge it. So let's go on and talk about the Rias list then. So we went for Realm Lords, Lumineth Realm Lords, LRL, and he's went for Zytrek. So bonuses to cast there, I believe. Is that right for Zytrek?
Plus one to cast, and
Plus
they
one
have
to cast.
access to a few extra things, I think. But yeah,
Perfect.
plus one to cast.
Very good, cool. And I believe is that on their first cast, only the plus one.
I'm not that genned up on
To be
Lumineth,
fair,
I'll
we
trust
don't
you.
we don't need to know the books out in the next few weeks anyway. So we'll relearn all the new rules anyway, so it's fine. So we've got Zytrek, he's got Show of Dominance, and he's also got Inspired as his Triumph. He's then went for his leaders. We've got a Hurricane Wind Mage. Don't see him very often. I've not seen him in the table at all, but that's quite cool. We've then got a Venari Lord Regent. I have seen him quite a bit. He's the really nice mounted guy in that lovely kind of that mount, which is very nice. And he's got the worst spell ever, Total Eclipse. despise this spell, making you have to spend 2 command points for every command ability. That is backbreaking for some lists.
Doesn't matter to me.
But you're just like, what's that?
No, but the
Doesn't matter to me.
Slan and Croak between them get 5
Yeah.
attempts to generate extra command points on 4-ups.
My God. So you're getting your turn CP regardless. You're getting your general CP, and you're getting 5 bites at potentially
4-up, yeah.
more CP as well. Wow.
And
Okay.
one from the Stink Star Priest on a 5-up.
Of course. Yeah, no worries. Okay, you're just out there, just rattling out the CP, John. Perfect.
You can't
Okay.
spend them all.
You can't spend them all, exactly. What, you're going to all out defense skinks? I mean, who
Yeah.
cares? Who cares? Very good. Okay, so we've got that. He's also taken a protection of Hish as well, which is your 5-up ward, I believe, for units in a nice wee bubble. And then battle line, we've got 10 wardens, and then the real meat of this list, 2 30 bricks of sentinels. And again, he's taken protection and total eclipses them just for some kind of for just more access. You know, if he loses his Lord Regent, he's then got total eclipse off a unit. Same thing for the protection, because really all they're going to be casting for the entire game pretty much is going to be Power of Hish.
Unless he gets off the Greater Power.
Unless he gets off correct, which is the War Scroll spell, which is on the Venari Lord Regent. So for those of you who don't know, and how could you not know, Power of Hish or Greater Power of Hish, you just either, if you cast it on yourself, and you can cast it as many times, so this is just normal Power of Hish, you cast that on yourself, and you can cast it as many times in a phase as possible, and it makes your Sun Metal weapons trigger on 5-ups rather than 6. For rolling to hit to trigger then the mortal wounds. Okay, so then the Sentinels, they're getting that many shots, 29 shots out of a unit 30, because one of the guys isn't got it. In fact, his job is to pick a unit that you can't see and shoot at that. And
he's got a little lantern or something.
He's got a wee lantern, yeah. He's got a wee birdie. He's got a wee bird pal as well. And every 5-up to hit is just a mortal wound to that unit. So Power of Hish, very good. And then on the Lord Regent, he's got Greater Power of Hish, so that's pick D3 units to get that as well. So it's quite good because you get that one spell off. You could kind of just do both of the Sentinel units, and then they don't need to worry about casting that spell, and they can do other stuff as well, which is really cool. And then he's also went for, oh my god, another Cronspine. I have a feeling I'm just going to keep seeing this guy pop up. Until possibly some changes in the battle scroll. But yeah, so Cronspine, again, just a great piece. And if you're going for raw power, then you want one of those. He's then went for Rune of Petrification. Now, I both love and hate this spell because I played Stu at a one-day, I think it was a month ago, and he took this spell, and he just kind of sold it. It was just like, so like on a 4-up, D3 mortal wounds or whatever, and you're like, all right, okay. He's like, but it doesn't move. It just sits there. You can move away from it or whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. That not worrying me whatsoever. It's only 40 points. Cool, no worries. Now this thing caused so much havoc to my army, to my castle-built army.
Well, you're all bunched around it or something.
I was like, oh my god! But it was great because he played it really well. He was able to find a point in the battlefield, well, pretty much the middle. If you're in a mission where, I think the mission we played was 4 objectives, I think, or it could have been the 5 mission one actually, where I think it's Prize of Galley, where the second player picks which ones are active, and he's got 3 right along the middle, and then he's got home, and then you've got your opponents, and he just plonked it right in the middle basically. And it's like, if you're wanting to make a play for the kind of middle of the board, which is where, if you're wanting position on the board is where you want to be, you're just going to take mortal wounds, and it triggers twice in a turn as well. So he's
the first turn, or is that every turn?
I think I honestly I don't know. I've not got the book to hand here or Wikipedia, but I think it was triggering. It was kind of almost like Warp Lightning Vortex. It was like end of your turn and end of opponent's turn as well. So they were getting 2 shots at it.
Spells do now.
Yeah. So, and then I think maybe in the turn it's actually brought out. It could have triggered then as well. I can't really remember. But all I remember is he just kept rolling 4-ups, and it was doing a heck of a lot of mortal wounds. It also reduces your charge and your movement, I believe, or it could just be run rolls. But yeah, -1. The charge can sometimes make a big difference. But yeah, this thing was just getting absolute money. And I'm seeing a lot more people take it. It recently was taken in a KO list that did really, really well down at LGT as well, I believe, because you've got spell in the bottle, you can just auto cast it, and it's just doing a nice smattering of mortal wounds. So no, really nice to see that in there, and he's got it all wrapped up in a battle rage as well at 1995 points, 91 wounds, and obviously a one drop. Yes, one drop. So he gets the choice. So tell me, how did it go down?
So the mission we played for this one was the Realmstone Cache. So again, I had the final choice of mission. So he vetoed one of them, and I was left with the choice of two. So I picked Realmstone Cache because it's got a very small deployment zone. So everybody's crammed into that little bit in the middle.
Little box, yeah.
Because I had a game plan against his army. So I wanted everybody bunched up nicely. He took the turn, which surprised me. The usual thing for shooting armies is to try and get off the double turn, etc. But he took the turn, which may have been the right thing to do, but I didn't expect it. I had put my Realm Shaper engine up on the line, and I'd put the Skink Star Priest in the Realm Shaper, and then I'd put everybody else quite far back to, minimize the number of people that could be shot by these sentinels.
Yep.
So he killed my Star Priest and 9 out of 10 from a unit of skinks. And that was pretty much all he managed to do for the turn. He got off one spell, which was a Power of Hish on a unit of sentinels who weren't going to fight. But everything else got unbound. So even with his +1, I just shut down all his magic.
Wow.
So it was a bit frustrating for him. And Lumineth Realm Lords do not do well without their spells.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, it's key game plan, and I take it was the reroll to dispels on the Slan coming in pretty hot.
Yeah, so you've got Croaks at +2 with 4 table-wide unbinds, and the Slan is at +2 as well because he's bound to the Cron Spine, so he's getting +1 from that.
Wow.
And then +1 in 8, and he's got 2 rerolls on 3 unbinds table-wide. So there's quite a lot of powerful unbinds going on.
Yeah.
And Riath's army was kind of built around, it's built around the Sentinels with Power of Hish, but also he can teleport a unit of Wardens across the table, and then he can use whatever their crystal's called, Ether Quartz or whatever it is.
Quartz, yeah.
To make them cast 2 spells, so they could be teleported across and then cast Lambent Light on a target and chuck out the Rune of Petrification into the middle of your army turn 1. And then all the Sentinels hit on 5s and get to re-roll everything to go for the mortals. So it can be amazingly destructive, but it's all based on getting some spells off. And he just didn't. So his game plan kind of fell apart at that point. He did kill my Skink Star Priest, which was a bit of a nuisance. But he also moved forwards to take the center objective. But because everything had started in that little box, the little box sort of just moved forwards a bit. So his entire army was bunched up in the middle of the board. And I just went to town with all my spells.
Yeah.
So by the end of bottom of turn 1, I killed 51 sentinels, all 20 wardens. So 51 sentinels and 20 wardens died in turn 1.
Oh my god.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it was a bit oppressive, I would say, for him that turn.
Quite the bunker buster then.
Yeah, I just did so much damage to each of the sentinel units, and then the Horrorghast was sitting right in the middle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was losing like 13 or 14 to Battle Shock.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That is grim. So was it really just kind of all she wrote from then on?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Turn 2, so my Cron Spine also went in, so it finished off one of the units of Wardens, and it was sitting there right in the middle of his army. Turn 2, he felt he had to try and do something about the Cron Spine, but his entire army was locked in combat with my Cron Spine in turn 2, and then I just picked off the remainder. So yeah, it was over basically in turn 1 when that many models ran away.
Yeah, that sounds I mean, just from kind of real point of view, that just sounds grim, absolutely grim. But as you say, it's like your list is designed to do that. It can either target one thing, whittle it off, or it can target multiple units in a nice little bubble. And if he's in that kind of castle formation, then that's exactly what you're looking for in it.
Well, they're bravery 6, and a couple of the units had used ether quartz, which gives them -1 bravery as well. So you've taken them down to bravery 5, and if you've killed 14 in the unit or whatever, then
Yeah,
a lot are running away, and you're
yeah,
adding
yeah,
another D3 to it. So yeah, it's destructive.
yeah. No, absolutely, yeah. Cool. So, game three, that was another win for yourself. So
Yep.
yeah, let's move on to game four, and it's a dinosaur off.
Add a Krokoff.
It was a Krokoff, yes. So yes, we've got another teammate of mine, Mr. Richard McCorry. He has been rocking around Seraphon for a good while now as well, and he's been kind of tweaking and changing his lists here and there. And this time, yeah, he decided he's going to take the OG frog himself. He's taking Croak, and so let's see what his list looks like. So we've got Thunder Lizard for this one. So not your Fangs of Sotek. We're going for the Thunder Lizard. So they reduce damage by 1, which I don't think really would have mattered against you because everything's damage 1.
The only thing it affected was the Kronspine.
Oh, of course, yeah, Kronspine. Yeah, yeah, okay. He's also went for Take What's Theirs. So he wants to try and be in your deployment zone.
Yeah.
And then Inspire as well, so +1 to win, so quite a common. Triumph. We've then got Lord Croak. We've got Ashleth Bearer, of course. We've got a Skink Priest. And we've also got an Engine of the Gods. This seems to be a kind of a staple of Richard's lists, the old engine. And he has got that kind of tanked up to the max. He's the general. It's got the command trait Prime Warbeast. It's got the Arcane Tome to make him a wizard, as well as being a priest. We've got a mount trait on there as well. And we've also got access to Curse through this guy because of the fact that he's a priest. And I think obviously with him being a big monster, a bit tankier, it's maybe the one that you want to have Curse on, because if he's going to be in the thick of it, Curse will be a 9-inch range, you're going to want that kind of that tougher model to be in amongst the casting that Curse. We've then got 5 Saurus Guard, again, Ablative Wounds for your heroes, 10 Skinks, ideally I'm thinking for Chaff, for Screens, for Expert Conquerors, which is what he's got the Skinks in. And then we've got 3 Bastillodons, we've got 2 with Solar Engines, and one that I'm seeing coming up quite a bit more in competitive lists is the Ark of Sotek Bastillodon. Now,
It's a great addition these days.
now that's the thing. So that you're saying great addition, I just remember back when everyone thought it was an absolute laughingstock of a
Well, it
model
was.
in terms of its damage output. So what it's got, a high number of attacks, but its 6s do a mortal wound, and that's it. You're hoping for
That's
kind of a splash of 6s.
that's
Um,
pretty much it. But it's not about damage. It's a monster on a
Yep.
1-up save, like 165 points or something.
165. So that's the thing. So that's the thing that I hadn't even kind of looked at or taken into account, is the fact that it's such good value for money in terms of survivability, defensibility, and as you say, yep. So it's a monster. So we're getting monstrous rampages access to. It's a 1-up save. So yeah, you're going to need to bring some.
5 models on objective.
Yep, 5 models on objective as well. You're going to have to bring either some ridiculous rend or some mortal wounds to try and get that save down. So yeah, quite a nice little, as you say, a nice, really nice addition to the lists now. And you're seeing it a lot more, so it's nice that we got to see him bring that. He then went for Cogs as an endless spell, again for reroll cast, I'm imagining, and he's also went for Purple Sun, so he's taken advantage of the fact that that Stu was running it as the older rules before the update. I think because a lot of the, because he was doing it 2 weeks in advance, his list submission, so
Yeah.
a lot of the lists were already submitted, and he didn't really want to kind of have to turn around and say to them, well, you can't bring Cogs now because, you can't bring Purple Sun now because it's changed. So he let it go. So yeah, and he's inbound for Warlord Battalion, Expert Conquerors, and Linebreaker, and he's got access to that additional artifact. 1965, so again, quite quite a low point, so he's got that cushion for his triumph. 100 wounds, and in terms of drops, he will be
And I
quite a
think,
high drops. Yeah,
yeah, he
10.
was 10.
10 drops, yeah. So yeah, right, talk me through it then. How did game...
And then I picked Won't Back Down. So
Okay.
that's playing end to end with the 6 objectives. And it's the one
Yes.
where you rally on 4 up or 5 up if you're wholly on
Mm,
objectives.
yeah, can be
He didn't
nice,
have
yeah.
many models, and I had the block of 30 skinks, so I thought actually it's not a bad one for me.
Yeah,
I've
because
got the teleports.
it's the sorry, just to interrupt, it's the galley vets that rally on the 4 up, is that right?
Yep,
And everything else rallies on 5s.
5 up.
Yep,
If you're
nice.
wholly on an objective.
If you're wholly within, so have to be wholly within that 6 bubble
Yeah.
to be getting that. Cool, perfect. Sorry, on you go.
Again, multiple objectives is good for summoning and teleporting units, whereas the Underlizards are very slow. They sort of just walk across the board and try and do damage and survive, but I can then jump behind them and so on. So multiple objectives is always good for teleporting armies.
Yeah.
So that was the rationale for the mission choice. I knew I had the choice because I'm 9 drops versus his 10 drops. He made one mistake, but unfortunately that was in deployment. So he pretty much deployed on the line. Put Croak back in safety because, again, Croak can do the slam thing of casting through a
Yeah.
wizard. And once you've given the Arcane Tome to the Engine of Gods, he's the wizard.
Okay.
So you send the Engine of the Gods up the middle and Croak 12 inches behind, casting all his spells out through the engine. So the engine could be cursing and casting spells and being the channel for the slam.
Wow.
So he's a great addition to an army. But he placed all his stuff roughly on the line. So I took the turn, figuring I could, get a good bit of damage done into those Bastiladons early on. So in turn 1, I managed to kill both the solar engines. So that was quite a big hit.
Wow.
So
yeah,
I got
that's huge.
one of them killed through was Ravenek's Gnashing Jaws, the Skinks with their Mortal Wound shooting, and the Realm Shaper engine. And then the other one I'd done, I think it was 4 or 5 wounds to in the hero phase. And I put the Kronspine up the middle, and he charged a screening unit of Skinks and slid round and attacked the Kronspine and killed it. Not attacked Kronspine, attacked the Bastiladon.
Yeah.
So that was both Bastiladons dead, my Kronspine in his army on level 3 in turn 1.
Wow. Ooh. Wow.
So
Nicely
he
played.
didn't have many answers from that point. Because that's all his long range firepower taken out, and he's got a Kronspine in his lines on level 3 to deal with.
Yeah.
He didn't recover from it.
Yeah.
He managed to get the Kronspine down a couple levels during the game, but he kept going back up by killing monsters, and I could teleport and score objectives better. He did work his way up one side with the other Bastiladon, the Ark of Sotek, and Skinks, and he was trying to steal my objectives, but once the Kronspine had finished off the Engine of the Gods and so on, it was free and chased after it and hunted that down, and that was the end. He was left with Croak only against most of my army at that point.
Geez, so it sounds like a lot of these games, John, they're coming, not coming down to, sorry, that's the wrong term, but they are being decided by turn 1, turn 2, like some very early on turns.
Yeah, games 3 and 4 were decided on turn 1. So game 3 it was the bottom of 1, and game 4 it was the top of 1. So it was really decided before he got to do anything. Game 2 was decided by Thomas moving his army the wrong way, and game 1 was a very good, complicated, drawn-out game.
True.
Richard, he didn't have much play after he lost both those Bastiladons.
Yeah.
I mean,
so losing a quarter of your army in one go, and then having this big having Kronspine right in your face, that's going
who's leveled up as well.
Who's leveled up, who you now know is going to take 3 turns to get rid of, and that's only if you manage to have them not kill any more monsters. Or
he got the Purple Sun out, and the Purple Sun basically sat on the Kronspine for as long as it
Right.
could, giving the additional rend and hoping to roll the 1, but he didn't get the 1.
That's just what happens, isn't it? So cool. So it sounded like quite a decisive game. So game 4, decided.
Talked it through afterwards for a while because Richard's practicing for the Six Nations
Yeah,
so
yeah.
on, and we talked about his deployment and how he should have done it, or how I felt he should have done it, and it would have given him a better game.
Yeah, yeah, no,
So
definitely.
yeah,
Very good. So good learning from that respect as well.
he played
Perfect.
well after that.
Yeah.
So he had one bad mistake, but it cost him the game. But he played well from then on, and on a scoring system of the Six Nations, he certainly would have got a few points.
Yeah.
But he was never going to be playing for the win at that point.
Got you. Got you. Perfect. And then that's all you can do is just play for points after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So game 4 in the books, and that then takes us on to top table. Last game, game 5, against another teammate of mine, Mister Liam Watt, and it was time for your kind of how should I put this? Not weekly game, but I suppose just
Well,
your
almost.
well, almost yeah, your regular game
Regular
at
scheduling.
regular scheduled game at tournament that you guys always seem to get each other. You're
We
both
haven't for about a year. We used
all
to
right.
play
Okay.
each other every tournament, and it was usually game 4 or game 5 we'd be playing. Even as far back as the Masters of 2019, we were playing in each other. I think it was game
Yeah.
4 then.
Wow.
We've kept a sort of a score record, and going into this point, we were 4-all in tournaments.
Ooh,
So
very
it's good fun. It's Liam and I play of tournaments as well because he lives up here in Aberdeen as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But it's so
yeah.
funny. You see so many stories of people that come down from one area to, you guys have travelled down like a good couple hours to get down to Stirling, and you just end up playing each other anyway. You travel all that
Yeah.
way and end up playing each other. So no, great, and obviously that kind of speaks volumes for Liam as well. So he's a really good player. He knows his stuff, and the fact that he's getting matched against you as well, another very good player. It speaks volumes as well. So that's great to see. So this was for all the biscuits, wasn't it? This was for the tournament
This was
win.
for it.
Really, yeah. The
Yeah.
person who wins this takes it all. So we've got so Liam is rocking. So he's rocking his Maggotkin of Nurgle, which he has had for a wee while now. And he's been kind of playing about with it, and he's decided to bring, as for this one, Filth Bringers. Now, you're gonna have to help me out here, John, because I don't know my Maggotkin that well. I've only really played them once at a tournament, I think. What is
The
this?
Filthbringers is an unusual faction that you don't see that often, but it's doing quite well at the moment.
Okay.
So it's based around a little coven of Rotbringer sorcerers, or I think that's their name anyway. But it's a little trio of sorcerers that go around, and when they're close to each other, and one of them can kind of draw the power from the other, so he can get +1 to his casting for each of the others that are within 12 inches.
All right. Okay.
So basically, it turns one of them into a +3 wizard.
Very good.
They also gain the ability to their endless spells count as Nurgle units for giving out disease.
Ah, nice.
So in the movement and the combat phase, they give disease to anybody in range of them. So they're a little disease factory going on there, particularly as one of them is +3 to cast, and you give him the Arcane Tome to make him a 2-cast wizard and so
Got
on.
you. Of course.
So it's a magic army, and it kind of relies on its magic.
So on that,
On that,
you've already played an army that was quite reliant on its magic, and you just completely shut it down, which pretty much sealed their fate. Was it a similar thing this time around again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okay. So just those bloody Slan and Croak just say no to magic dominance.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
They just say no.
They just say no.
They can get ridiculous bonuses going on.
Yeah.
So your Slan is on +1 in his War Scroll. If he's near his Kronspine, he's another +1. For casting, the Astrol's Bearer gives you +1. You can pick an asterism at the start of your hero phase or constellation of the stars to pick a wizard to give +1 to. And then one of the other wizards can cast a spell which gives +1 to all other wizards than himself. So if Croak casts that, I think you can get the slam on like +4 or +5 with 2 rerolls. Yeah,
What
he
are you
can
get?
cast whatever he likes.
What are you getting off against that? Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, so we'll go through the rest of the list first, and then we'll talk about how the game went. So we've got so on that he's got his little trio of Rotbringer sorcerers, as you were just saying. So that's the play there. You want them together. You want to give one of them +3 to cast and make him a double wizard, which is exactly what he's done. So he's got one who's got the arcane tome. Okay, so that's that. Checked off, perfect. We've then got, for the rest of the units, we've got 10 Plague Bearers, 10 Blight Kings, we've got another 5 Blight Kings, we've then got 2 Puscoils, 3 Nurglings, we've got Ravanax, Gnashing Jaws, Shards of Valagar, and Umbral Spell Portal. So just as we said, it's a magic army. He's brought 3 endless spells, so leaning in quite heavily into that magic. But as you say, they're little disease factories as well. They're going to be giving out disease points as well, which is really nice because again, the Nurgle, the engine behind that is you want to be just putting out as many disease points as possible, get those mortal wounds going, and let's just kind of start chipping away at multiple units, kind of like what you do with your spells. We've got Warlord Battalion, we've got Expert Conquerors, and we've got Bounty Hunters. And for his Warlord, for the extra thing that he can take, he's went for an extra spell. So all these wizards are going to know an additional spell from the lore, which is nice. And he's got 1985 points. He is also a 9-drop, so I guess it kind of comes down to that roll off at the start of the game to see who gets the choice.
It does. It does, but Liam won the roll and he elected to veto. So he elected to be the attacker and therefore veto a mission.
Okay.
So that. Oh, I'm telling you a lie. He elected to be the defender. He made me veto one and be the attacker, but that meant I was going to win the drop race.
Yes. Yes, of course. Right. Okay.
So he wanted the choice from the 2 missions that were left. He prioritized
Yes.
that over the drop race.
Over the drop. And do you think that was right move, wrong move?
In looking back, I don't think it actually mattered, really. I gave him the turn, and he used it a little bit conservatively, but I don't think it was actually that important. So it possibly wasn't a bad move, but it surprised me. I was all set. As soon as he won the roll off, I was set to be dictated to.
Yeah.
But he went down that path instead, so it took me a bit by surprise, put me a little bit on the back step, which is never a bad thing with your opponent in the mind games.
Yeah.
So I gave him the turn. We were playing Prize of Galais, so that's that cross one where you got 3 across the middle and you activate one.
And that's just, sorry to cut you off, John, as well, but for me, that has got a huge amount of power for the person who is going second. Because
it's more important in the later turns, I feel. Turn 1, everybody's set up to be able to take any of the objectives.
Yeah.
You're not going to set up all of one side and say, well, I'll never get to that one, because then the other person will just pick it.
Of course.
So it's turn 2 onwards where you start to have control of the game. So if you can play the game happy to be going second, it gives you a lot of strength.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You pick the active objective and you pick the proving ground, and you can sort of pool your opponent around the board.
Yeah.
But as long as you can keep playing happy to be second in the turn.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so on that, you gave him turn, which then allowed you to go second. Okay, and you were saying he was quite conservative in that first round, which I suppose you kind of would be if there was double potential things like that from yourself. And then so how did it go on for the remainder of the game?
So he moved forward a little bit onto enough to score the objective that I'd picked, which was the one on my right, so his left. Moved forward a little bit. He scored the points. He managed to get out his Umbral Spell Portal and then put a spell through it that I think is you pick a unit and everybody within 7 inches gets a disease point.
Okay.
I don't know what it's called. But it's basically a little area AoE blast of disease, but because it was going through the spell portal, it was right into the middle of my army.
Got you.
So his general had managed that with his +3s. So that put disease onto just about everything in my army. But it's only 1 disease point, so it's not a big deal at that point in the game. It doesn't really matter, but it starts that process that Nurgle are looking for.
Yeah, it gets the wheels turning. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the wheel's turning. It kept doing little wounds to my Astaroth bearer and that sort of stuff. So, it is making a difference. But I felt it was okay. It wasn't going to be that big a deal at that time.
Hmm.
I then took the turn, scored the objective as well, put the Ravenek's Gnashing Jaws out, and ate his general. And so that's his 2-cast wizard dead.
Oh no.
And that takes the other wizards can do the little thing where they bounce off each other, but there's now only 2 of them, so they're +2 instead of +3.
Exactly.
And they're 1-cast wizards, so it seriously hampers his magic ability. I did a bit more damage and scored the points. Then turn 2, I think I got priority again at that point, so I did some more damage, scored some more points. I got the Kronspine in and locked down some units, and just frustrated him from there.
Hmm.
He charged in with his 10 Light Kings. I think it was 9 left at the time. He charged them across the board at my 30 skink blowpipe guys,
Yeah.
who were buffed up with the mortal wound damage and so on. So they did their parting shot and rolled the 4 up to run away. So his Blight Kings were left standing there. I think I killed 3 of them on their way in. And then he didn't even get to fight me because I retreated from it.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And then I won priority into turn 3, and at that point I think Liam just had enough.
Yeah.
So we called it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. He just had no real answer to the magic superiority.
Yeah.
Because he's based on magic, he needed his magic to go off, he needed these endless spells doing disease to everybody, and he just wasn't getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. As you say, yeah, it's if you're tuning the list a certain way, and there could be just that one rock to beat your scissors.
Yeah, I think he'd been having a great time with it all weekend. I think he'd been getting his spells out, and he'd
Yeah.
been creating disease everywhere, and it had done some serious work for him. But as soon as somebody just shut down his magic, he doesn't have that much damage output at speed or range after that. He's got a block of Blight Kings. He's got these Puscoils, but I think I'd killed 3 of his Puscoils before they got anywhere near me.
Yeah, you do. I mean, obviously, you see the Puscoils a lot now. It's the flies list. It's the bees, whatever your people are calling them, and they do seem to do a lot of work, especially in the sub faction that gives them the pre-game move, and then they can go in, start swinging, do a lot of mortal wounds, and so he's kind of went for a good mix of. So he's got those. He's got the Blight Kings, which again against some list Blight Kings they can do a lot of work as well. It's just sheer weight of dice that they're chucking out, and then but yeah, as you say, it's the list is tailored to magic, and if it's not working, then it's not gonna do it for you. So yeah, so it sounds like it was still a good game, as I'm sure it would have been against Liam, and yeah, so that takes you to 5-0. That takes you to the number 1 spot. And yeah, so congratulations, John, on your. So this is your. Did you say this is your 3rd tournament overall win of the year? 5th. 5th. Oh my god.
Yeah, 5 GTs this year.
5 GTs, right? This is a call to everyone. We need to beat John. He cannot stay up this high for this long. He needs to be brought down. Come on now. Is there somebody out there that's going to be able to take you down, John? Well, let's actually
33-2 for the year.
33-2. Wow, very good. Very very impressive, son. Well done. Very well earned. And so, well, let's talk about a list that you were perhaps a wee bit afraid that might take you down. So I'm going to bring the ladder up, okay? And I want you to tell me where on this ladder is the list.
I need to bring the ladder up myself then.
Or even if you know the name of the person, I can.
Oh, I know the name of the person.
Okay.
It's our good old friend, Mr. Listbot.
Oh, so Mr. JP Gannis or
JP Gannis.
JP Gaines, as he's also known. That's his alter ego. He is Listbot. He is commissioned painter to the masses as well now. I've got a good few.
In fact, he painted most of my army.
Yeah, I was going to say, he painted your Seraphon for 6 stations last year.
Yeah.
He's painted about 4 of my armies as well. He's just cranking them out. And so he managed to find time in his busy schedule to come up to Scotland, and he brought a horrendous list. I
It's
thought
horrible.
it's absolutely horrible. It was when I popped in on the Sunday, and I went over to JP. Was I mean, it was still kind of quite early on, so I thought games wouldn't be over yet. And I went over to say hi, how you doing, and then it was also another teammate, Paul, the bazooka he was playing with his Skaven, the 12 Storm Fiends list. I was like, oof, that's absolutely filthy as well. Like, come on now, that's going to be just tabling
But
folk as
Paul was
well.
in tears, was he not?
I think Paul had, yeah, he was sitting contemplating life. He was in a bit of existential crisis, as he then regaled me at his both blocks of Storm Fiends, everything going into one unit of Vanguard, and the Deceiver going into them as well, fighting them, and managed to kill two Vanguard. Okay. My head then just kind of exploded. I then turned to JP and went, a what? A what? How is this happening? And he was just like, yeah, so because they're heroes, so you can best day ever. You obviously you've got access to all out defense. You get Mystic Shield on them. He's just like da 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 da. So they're basically on twos, rerolling ones for their saves pretty much all the time, unless you have
All the
access to
time.
Rend 5 or higher
Yeah.
maybe. Then they're going to be pretty much on that. And I was just like, oh my god,
It's
that
a
sounds
crazy system.
horrific. Yeah, so we're going to have a look at it, John. We're going to take a wee look see here. Um, and oh, here we go, perfect. So JP, he's going to get a wee bit of spotlight here because the master says that your list was filthier than his. So we've got Slaves to Darkness, Knights of the Empty Throne, okay, and I guess that's what's pumping up the Vanguard, right? Because it's making them all heroes, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so
The
we've
units
got
of 6.
units of 6, right? So he's got 2 units of 6 here. They've got Demon Forge Blade and Warp Steel Shield. The command trait Inescapable Doom. I have no idea what that does. No idea, John.
Don't really know either.
Don't know. Artifact Grasping Plate again. I mean, who? I've no idea. Tune in next time, where maybe I'll actually know some of these things. And then, but they're all Zinch now because I believe that they then get Spell Ignore as
Get a
well.
5-up spell
Yeah.
ignore. They get the reroll 1 save
Yep.
inherent.
Hmm.
So yeah, so he can get. I think the command trait might be a spell ignore as well.
Wow.
And so they're getting a 4-up, 5-up, 5-up to ignore spells. So you can't hurt them through normal conventional means, and you can't hurt them with magic.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, they've got 2 chaos sorcerers who give out the +1 save,
Yeah.
which isn't a spell or it's just an ability. You can have +1 save, and so can you.
Yep.
So as you say, finest, best Tuesday, whatever it's called, all out defense,
Yeah.
+1 save from Sorcerer Lord. There's another Sorcerer Lord just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Of course, I totally forgot about the Sorcerer Lords giving out
And then
the
a Mystic Shield just because.
just because as well. Yeah, of
It's
course.
a prayer from the shrine that he's got. I think
Yes.
that might be one of the spell ignores.
Ah, got you. Okay, and yeah, because he's got the Mark of Zinch on that as well. Yep. So, yep, I think you're absolutely right. So yeah, just horrific. So you've got those 2 6 Vanguard that so basically don't die, and they can go around and they can kill stuff as well.
There
And
are
then
2-up rerolling 1s, ignoring 2 rend or something like that. Both units on average.
both units, yes. He's not even just piling it all into the
Like you
one
could put
unit.
half
He can
onto
just
each.
put up. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
And if his battle lane, he's got Iron Golems, which also they 3-up save base as well.
And rerolling 1s.
And rerolling
Because
ones, of
there's each.
course, because there's each. And so also very tanky in their own right. We've got 6 Furies, which I'm guessing is just for some run interference, can get some battle tactics maybe, just nice units to have. And then yeah, the War Shrine as you were saying as well. So yeah, I think I definitely see your point there, John, about
I couldn't have
that
done
list.
anything to it. I just
Yep.
could not have done anything.
I think that probably a lot of people were in the same boat as well. I mean, I know Paul was in that same boat. He was just like, can't do anything into this. But I do know the only person that beat him that entire weekend was the person that you beat in game 3,
Yeah.
Riath.
Yeah,
Riath took
with his
it down.
Sentinels.
Riath for the Sentinels, because thank God for mortal wound shooting.
So I owe Riath a drink.
Jeez. Thank God for that, Jack. Keeping things like this, under control. So yeah, so that's the one thing that would really do the business against this. It's mortal wounds. So doesn't matter how much unrendable armor you've got. You've got no mortal wound save. Then you're toast. Yeah. So yeah, well done for JP as well. He went 4-1. As we can see, also did very well, number 4 on the rankings. But yeah, so top 3 we've got John, obviously yourself, well done, 5th GT of the year. We've got fellow Night Haunt aficionado, we've got Mike Callahan, he did pretty well as well, coming in at number 2. And then we've also got Phil McGuinness, he was coming in at number 3. He was rocking his Iron Jaws, which he's been doing well with, and he's been playing a lot of. He took a kind of a more Ardboys focused list of Broken Realms. This time he went, no, it's all pigs all day, baby. It's just bacon. I'm chucking bacon at you. And
Very good with his pigs.
yes, and he just knows the army. He knows all of the Mighty Destroyer tricks to use. He's just really good with these synergies and things like that as well. And his movement, the movement game within the hero phase. I remember playing him a number of times, and he's like, "Oh, so I'm going to move that there, and then this will teleport to here, and that I'll move to there, and da 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 da." And I'm like, so, and he's like, "Right, so movement phase." And I was like, "So that wasn't your movement phase? Like what?
Whoa. Your whole army's moved."
Exactly. And it's like I can't redeploy against any of it anyway because it's the
Yeah.
freaking hero phase. But yeah, and we can see obviously the list of other people that did well. Within the
I
the
give
first
a
few
little
ranks.
shout out to
Yep,
my friend Jamie McHugh, who went 4-1
absolutely.
and came in 5th.
Oh, Jamie
Yes.
McHugh, very
Yeah,
well.
it's about
Another
20 places higher than his previous best, so he's just
and
nailed it.
very good. Another Aberdeen boy.
Yes.
And yeah, Soul Blight player. He's rocking a really nice looking Soul Blight army. Actually,
It's
it's
really,
lovely.
really nice
Really nice.
army. Dodgy painting, but
Those blood knights. You shut your mouth. Those blood knights. Yeah. But yeah. So good. Great turnout. As always, Northern Invasion. We see a lot of people coming from all over, as you said, to come to this event. Stu puts on a great show. Sounds like great games all round, and yeah, just a final well done to yourself, John. That was
Thank you very
very
much.
very good showing. And yeah, that takes us up. So a lot quicker than last time. That was good. So an hour and a half as opposed to 2.5 hours. So we're doing well. We're learning. So yeah, that's
Somebody
pretty
might
much.
listen to it this way.
Yeah, exactly. You might actually get some listen to yourself. So thanks so much, folks. If you've stuck around to the end, thank you so much for watching. Obviously, big thanks to John for joining me. Thank you
Welcome.
again for doing that. We get some great insight from yourself. We get to listen to some great games as well, and some good list advice and list tech also. Big thanks to again sponsors Riath and tabletopminis.co.uk as well. Thank you very much for sponsoring us and giving our patrons the good deals. And we've got a new screen this week because I do have to give some individual thanks to some patrons. So thank you very much to the person that we've just been, I don't know, slagging or kind of bigging up for the last 10-15 minutes. I'm not sure which, but JP, thank you very much for supporting the channel. He's my very first Patreon, my very first patron, and he's coming in at the recruit tier. So thank you very much. And also we've got Cara Newby. Thank you so much. She's supporting me at the top tier that I've got, veteran, which is just really, yeah, just really thankful for that. Thanks for your support. And I've also had lots of good comments from the community as well. So thank you for all feedback and keep it coming, guys, because I want to just improve the channel, get better, give you the best content I can. So please, if you get in touch, either social medias, I'm in the WhatsApp chat, you know where I am. So thank you so much. So yeah, that takes us up to the end then, John. Anything else you'd like to say for these fine folks before we cut away?
No, just I guess that I'm looking forward to my next tournament. It's going to be the Howling, and I have
Yes.
been grudged by Mateus for that one.
Oh, perfect. So Howling, one dayer, run by Mr. Mike Callahan. Yes.
Yes.
Yep, perfect. And that's going to be happening in December, I believe.
think it's the weekend around the 10th of
I
December.
think 10th December. Perfect. Very good. Very good. And best of luck to Matt as well. Take him down. Take him down, mate. That's all I've got to say. And I'll also be there for that event as well. So it'll be good to see you there, John.
Excellent.
Perfect, thank you. Right, well, I think that's us. So that's all from me, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in again to another episode of Battlecry. Make sure to tune in next time and answer the call. Thank you very much. See you later.